Whether you've been in Spain for 6 months or 6 years, don't miss Pellicer and Heredia in conversation with Moody on BayRadio every other Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pellicer and Heredia are your international lawyers on the Costa Blanca and have been looking after the expat community for more than a decade. See more at alicantilawyers.es.
This is BayRadio International. Welcoming back, because that's a couple of weeks flown by, Ignacio from Pellicer and Heredia. Now, we used to be, when you were in on Wednesday mornings, it used to be on, level with you doing the webinars on the same day, later on in the day.
Yeah.
We're off kilter now, but it doesn't matter too much, I don't think. So you had one last Wednesday. What was the subject?
That's right. That was about golden visa and buying a property in Spain. It was quite popular. People are very much interested, and we discuss as well about the difference between non-lucrative visa and golden visa. It's being recorded, so they could just watch it and play in the live chat, in the live bottom in that website.
That's right, on the website, alicantilawyers.es.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, these subjects, they come up a lot. You've covered these quite a few times, but presumably you're reaching new people every time, and they can ask you questions, right?
That's right, and then you give them updates. That's what we normally do. The very latest one is we give updates on, and normally Moody's questions and answers. That's the beauty of it. We give 1 hour at a time to just do the 10-minute speech about the requirements, talk about possibilities. I mean, open up ideas for investors if they think they could qualify. And then we do questions and answers, even though in the website we try to upload them as much as possible for their own benefit. But yes, when you do live, it's good answering to them straight away in the chat.
Sure, and something we're mentioning more and more every time we chat is reaching North Americans.
Yeah.
So you do it a little bit later on in the afternoon, usually 4 or 5 Madrid time.
Yes.
Which means you can catch people even on the west coast of the States. They can join you.
We're doing normally webinars. Now we are scheduled for Wednesdays, 5 o'clock. Today we're not doing one, because we did last week.
That's right.
But the following one, we will not be holding one because it's a funny week where it's a lot of bank holidays.
Yes, it is. It's a week tomorrow is the big national Dia de Hispanidad, right? The 12th. And I think within the Valencia region as well, you got
the 9th
days
on
before
Monday.
that.
Yeah. So we will be postponing for the following Wednesday, 5 o'clock.
Right.
Madrid time. And
then we'll be back on track so we can talk about it.
Yeah.
All right.
And
neat.
that will be basically, I'm not sure about what the topic is going to be.
No, sure.
But probably might be about either non-lucrative visa as well, concentrating on that, or the non-resident tax as well, which is important. People is aware of that, and there is a big demand on what is these? I pay SUMA. Well, no, SUMA is only local tax.
Sure. Yeah,
a lot of people tell me, no, Ignacio, I pay SUMA. No. SUMA is fine. But what about the state tax?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the problem they normally find is when they sell, you're being retained at 3%. And then you need to go backwards and do all the non-resident tax. They give you whatever fine, whatever interest. So and I always say, if you're a non-resident, it's important you prove that you're a non-resident for the tax purposes. Because how about if they start making questions, Moody? Oh, you brought all this money here, but you didn't do resident and non-resident, And believe me, if there is no need to stress yourself going through the tax system. People get very stressed as well.
Just the word is enough to put you off. Yeah.
And I deal with it, and it's not nice, to be honest, because it's trying to defend yourself. They're after money, and you're trying to prove and getting documents in order, providing them to the right. So if we could do it properly by the book and in advance, I highly recommend.
Sure. Okay, and the visas, I mean, these would have been in place before Brexit because it's not just the UK that's become a third country.
That's correct.
But are maybe Brits getting used to what's available now? They sort of know a little bit more about it.
Yes.
Non-lucrative visas and the like.
Yeah, I mean, it probably was not so popular for English speaking because the British
wasn't necessary.
Obviously, and Irish, they never needed all these things, you see. Now the British need exactly the same as the Americans used to have, and the Chinese and Russians. So it's quite new for I would say for British. And there are options, Moody. I do a lot of consultation, a lot of them even through video conference or personal, about very important about possibilities, and then you link the type of visas, the type of tax. and obviously a way forward to Spain. It's like relocation thing. And I think it's really, really worth it, because if you work yourself out, how much would it cost me if? You know, you're going to have the answer straight away.
Sure. And they may think they know what's better, but then there may be a better option.
Correct.
Especially with the nomad visa coming in, which you one or two hiccups with that. But
well, I'll tell you something. We already got one.
Oh.
Probably I'm just telling to the office, probably we were one of the first in Spain we managed to get it, you know.
Because you were taking applications, but there was a bit of a hold-up for various reasons.
That's been hard. That's been hard because you deal with so many departments. You deal with the tax office, social security, immigration office. And to be honest, it's one of the most difficult for us as lawyers, because you need to deal with a lot of paperwork, a lot of issues.
Yeah, sure.
But it's really worth it, because only the tax regime is great.
Yeah, so this is for people relocating here, but working and earning money
remotely
from outside. Yeah,
right, working remotely. So I'm proud to say that we managed at last, and
your first one. Have you framed it and put it on the wall, like when you earn your first dollar?
We just clapped very much. It took a long time. Because, but we have a lot of them on queuing, you know.
Yes, of course,
I think they've been very slow as well, because the government even didn't know how to deal with a lot of things. Because when you first start, and I'm sure they're going to just improve it, because they've noticed there are problems all the way through getting documents for Social Security, because the company in the UK should pay Social Security there. Or just you'll need to register here and be self-employed.
This is the company you're earning from.
Yes.
But even though you're living in Spain.
Yes. I mean, the most popular one, Moody, for you to know on the nomad visa will be somebody working remotely and your company allowing to do so. Mm-hmm. The company needs to prove and pay for Social Security either in the UK, or you will need to register here. That's and putting everything together is what really makes the case difficult and slow, and queuing, basically.
Yeah, because it's almost like a case-by-case basis. And just because one's come through now and been successful, it doesn't mean they're all fine, because they're all different.
Because everybody works in a different company, a different situation. Some companies are probably reluctant. So that's why I advise probably you start doing the test on clients. Say, you test for golden visa, you test for non-lucrative, you test for nomad. Now, okay, what about taxes? And then you just try to do tax simulations on whether it's worth this possibility. And it's a combination. It's beautiful in a way, because you could advise what is best for one individual. But you need to do so many questions.
Yes, of course.
You need to filter so many things. But it's great, Moody, when you say, "Oh, I found the right way for you." You know, this is the best and cheapest and more efficient for you. And that's the nice thing of the nightmare of going through filtering what is best from a visa point of view, from a tax point of view, and sometimes you'll be surprised that cases are even easier because they're married to a European or a Spaniard. So that the whole thing changed.
Yeah, you'll spot something that can make it so much easier. Yeah. That's what you're there for.
But it's nice to get good results, you know.
Absolutely.
Actually, the other day, last Wednesday, I think it was, I had a court case. I always like to tell you about these Brexit TIE court cases that I'm dealing with. Uh-huh. And the public prosecutor already knows me, and he smiles when he sees and say,
nod and a wink. Here we go again.
I'm saying I'm going to give my best today. I'm going to tell you off how much money my clients are spending because you're being stubborn on not granting the TIE. You know, they carry on saying this. The insurance was not dated pre-Brexit. They stick on it, and even the judges have already hold resolutions saying there is not a law that states that.
Right.
So, but Moody, they're making life so difficult. That's what I was telling them. You are making citizens' life very difficult, and therefore you should pay for all the legal fees. And I really insist on that. You know, we already managed to get that in different cases.
Excellent.
But yeah, it's a good thing on our work, Moody, of helping. You know, that's the best out of it.
Yeah, we've all seen it when you get a result and you're coming out of court there, all celebrating. And we knew it all along. Just had to prove it to the.
But the clients, I remember clients went to there because I always recommend clients going to the courts to see what's going on, and they were saying, "Oh, that was stressful. That was intense. That was their words."
Yeah,
and it was a public prosecutor arguing and me arguing, and the judge just listening. So I'm just waiting to hear for the resolution, and probably next Wednesday when I see you, I'll let you know what's the outcome.
Excellent.
I'm positive, though.
I mean, it gives us some idea of what you do, the sort of range of things, because one moment you're talking about filing tax return, and then you're in court battling it out with the prosecutor there.
Right. Well, to be honest, Pedro and myself, we are one of the solicitors and barristers that we very much like to know as much as possible of everything, you know. And because of our clients, we really push all these fields. And it's a must, you know, and that's why it's very specific what we do, but based on people's life, expect people having their own problems. But yes, there are certain law firms that they will only do one thing and that will be it.
Yeah.
But in our case, since we already are many and we really enjoy what we do, if we are able to help, we will.
Just get back onto the visas a little bit, because you wanted to mention just some of the differences, even though we've been over these before, but just to clarify things and how they may have changed and updated. Yeah,
I mean, basically for people who might be listening and they want to know very quickly, the golden visa, you need an investment minimum of 500,000 euros.
That's still the same, yeah.
Right, it's still the same. You still need to have financial means, so that means exactly the same amount that you have in the bank, free disposal of money in the bank or investment. One person, 27,000, two person, 34,000 per year. Okay, so you still, even though you do an investment of 500,000, you still need to have the money in place.
That's not come up much before, because that's what you need for the other ones, isn't it? Is it just the same amount, 27,000?
Yes, exactly the same. Exactly the same.
So with the golden visa, you still need to have money in the bank.
On investment or in the bank.
Right.
So it's not that I bought this property and I have zero pension funds or zero money. No, that wouldn't work.
Yeah, you're only going to live on.
Right. The important thing here, for those who unfortunately have some criminal records as well, the crime committed in the past for the past 2 years needs to be equal or similar in Spain, because I had a case that I've been arrested. Well, arrested is not a crime, even though the FBI in the States says you're being arrested on your criminal records. That's not a crime in Spain. So that wouldn't count. Obviously, if you don't have clear criminal records, you will not qualify either. So that's something. Now, the insurance, good thing here, Moody, I learned as well about insurance, that I found one of the companies, because we deal with several, right? Depending on ages and needs. And I was stuck with people who was very old or probably more than a certain age. And obviously, insurance companies probably don't want you, because they know you're going to pay less of what you're going to spend. And that was an issue. Now, I found the one that will cover for those who are over 75, 79.
No, this is health insurance.
Yes,
right, to qualify for
to qualify.
Fever.
Obviously, if you are retired, not all the companies have this, you see, because some of them, 75, they just stop.
They won't touch you.
They won't touch. So I found the one who, even for people who goes golden visa, they need the insurance. But if you are a retiree and you have the S1, right, because that means that in the UK or abroad, they're covering the public health.
Yeah.
So that means if you already have that document, you don't need an insurance.
Oh, well.
So then you could save that money as well. Yeah. And that's very good for people who are old enough. Because you know how it works. When you're old enough, unless you have the S1, you need to have a private insurance. So that's one of the things that are important for people to know. And that's only for property. You will have golden visa if you want to invest on stocks and shares, €1 million. Let's say instead of having it by any reason in the UK or in the States or wherever, you transfer the money here and you do it and invest it here. You can still invest money for €1 million with any Spanish companies.
I see.
Or portfolios, right? So for those who qualify, they don't really need to have the money over there. I know sometimes you need to do tax planning and say, why would I withdraw now? I'm going to pay tax and then invest it here again. That's probably but if you're doing tax planning beforehand, before coming, and it's tax-free, let's say in the UK or in the States, because you have some benefits over there that you wouldn't credit here, which is very normal sometimes. Yeah. I think it's worth for people who are doing the planning to do it. Because, for example, Americans don't like buying property too much. I mean, British prefer buying, but American not necessarily. No. They're very used to rent.
Oh, right.
They're familiar with renting. I mean, not all of them, but if you give me a percentage, there is high percentage always renting.
What, even when they move here?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yes,
or are they just doing that for a while they find their feet and then
as well. But they don't have that much culture. Sometimes they sell in the States. They invest in. They've got a lot of big culture of investing. They do investments. They get their return. They live with that money and they rent and move around Spain. I mean, that's something that I've noticed is a cultural thing.
Mm-hmm. Because a lot of, I mean, generalising a little bit, but what you'd sell a property for in the States, you could probably buy something very nice over here in Spain and just about anywhere. And they do move to Madrid, don't they?
And that's one of the reasons why the Golden Visa is popular.
Right.
Because
500,000.
Yeah. If, for example, in the centre of Madrid, they are granting for foreigners a Golden Visa. Why? Because I spoke to a estate agent and they told me, Ignacio, there is no property less than 600 in the centre of Madrid.
No, right.
So whoever wants to live in the centre, have the funds, straight away they could apply for the Golden Visa. So at the end of the day, there is certain plazas that is impossible not to have the Golden Visa once you do the investment.
Yeah.
But going back to the state case, when they sell the property, Moody, they're very expensive properties in the States. Is in general what I've seen.
Yes,
not probably in the centre of the States, in the middle.
Yeah, in the Midwest.
In the Midwest.
Further south,
probably
perhaps.
over there is less expensive. That's what I heard from clients. So going back to the Golden Visa case, this is few bits and pieces that I like to remind. Now, if for those, as you said last time, why somebody will spend 2 million instead of 1 million? Well, you have the case of spending 2 million in public debt. Yeah, but why would you?
Do many people do that?
I haven't dealt with that. I haven't dealt with that. But that's a possibility.
Right.
The million as well, but the only problem with the million investing is people have already their finances tied up with their own product, and then it's tax efficient. So that's one of the things. Then the non-lucrative visa, you don't need to do that investment. You still need to have the financial means.
Yes.
And the difference on time is Golden Visa, you could stay here back and forth anytime you like. You could be non-taxpayer, which might be attractive. You still could enjoy the Schengen area with this visa. And with the non-lucrative visa, the difference is you need minimum 6 months. And then if you are minimum 6 months, you need to pay taxes in Spain.
Yes, of course, you become tax resident. Yeah.
So the only difference you don't need to be, I always say, that's why you need to do the test. What is your purpose? Are you want to come to Spain to retire? Do you want to stay here longer? Are you going to be a taxpayer? Well, then you really don't need to invest if your budget, even though you don't need to spend the 500. You could spend 200, 300, or you could do investments. You could do, I'm going to do just buying, refurbishing and selling or renting.
Yeah.
So you could be below any budget on purchase. You could still have non-lucrative on rentals. So you could rent a property and you could still apply for the non-lucrative visa.
I see. All right.
So these two popular ones, then you have the nomad, which is a bit more difficult. We discussed last time.
Yes, we just mentioned that, yeah.
And the nomad, you need to work for a company. They need to allow you work remotely. And the social security issue, it needs to be paid from home, or you need to register here. Okay, it's a tricky one. Being self-employed, it is difficult. I will concentrate on working for a company, because if you do self-employed, there is a possibility here that you don't qualify, obviously.
I was going to ask you that, how much they may need to see, 5 years of books or something from...
You need to be working for somebody. The company needs to be in the market more than 1 year, and you need to be working with them more than 3 months. Okay, that's working for a company.
But if you're self-employed?
No, just as an employee.
Yes.
Now, if you're self-employed, the problem you find here, you're not going to be able to apply for the tax regime. So it's going to be pretty much like a work visa, but without the 24%
that's the
flat fee.
That's the attractive bit.
Yes,
of course, yeah.
It's pretty much the Beckham law.
Yes, of course. Yeah,
but now with the normal visa, you get the visa. So now it's double. You get the visa, you pay only, 24% flat fee up to 600,000 euros income.
Because I pictured the talk of this, and when it came in, that a lot of people with the nomad visa would be self-employed people, freelance, doing online graphic design or whatever.
Correct. But the problem with that, Moody, is that this profession probably doesn't have this extra allowance for you to qualify. You could apply for the visa, but you will not get the tax regime.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's more of a work visa.
Kind of defeats the object a bit, if you don't qualify for the 24%.
Yeah. The good thing for the nomad visa is that your family gets it as well. So that is very good. The golden visa as well.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of benefits on the nomad visa. I think it will be popular eventually. Now it's a bit, I will call it, you struggle a little bit getting paperwork, but if you manage to do it, I think it's really worth it.
Okay.
It's worth the hassle and the pushing, and because we're talking about almost 6 years paying the low rate, having the visa, and then you go into permanent. So I think it's worth it.
Wednesday morning, Ignacio here from Heredia. That was just one of my favourite things just then, trying to explain cricket to, for want of a better word, a foreigner. But you knew a little bit about it, but some of the rules, the intricacies are very different to what you might be used to. I grew up with it. We played, when I was at school and first formed the team, we were playing at quite a fancy school in a nearby town. And I told the PE teacher that my grandfather went there and it was a good school and he played cricket there. And he made me captain of the team just because of that. And I had no idea what I was doing. Absolutely. It was the only time I was captain. But that was quite a thing. But no, it's a good game. It's a good game. Get into it if you got,
Yeah, I didn't really, obviously here in Spain, you don't see that.
No, sure.
But I just learned because they're taking the children to play cricket today in school.
Wow.
And I was asking my son if he knew much about it, but the PE teacher is English and he's the one who's teaching.
Okay.
And they are competing today between different schools. I think Murcia, Alicante. And they're all excited. We had to take the children this morning very early, 7:30, and
nice,
it will
nice day for it as well to be out there. Yeah,
it will be nice to go to a match and understand a bit more. I don't really know.
The biggest bit to try and explain, especially to Americans, is that they could play for 5 days in a test match and it still be a draw. No one wins. There's different forms though, and they've really punched it up. So there could be you just play 20 overs, like a really thrash, within a couple of 3 hours.
It's good fun, isn't it?
Yeah. There's different ways of doing it these days. Makes it more interesting for younger folk and I guess. Yeah. Let us know how he gets on.
Yeah. Well, I'll learn more about it.
So there's plenty to learn there.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking about property and buying. You mentioned something during the previous song about auctions.
Yeah.
Some people say auctions in English. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But because they're quite a thing in the UK. One of the big shows on telly, Homes Under the Hammer, is all about that. People go to these auctions and they buy a place, do it up and sell it, and they go back a few months later to see how they've done. Or rent it out, of course. Does that happen here then? Well,
here is not like when you watch all these TV shows in the UK or in the States. I've just watched them. But the process is like a hard conveyancing, basically. There is a portal in Spain where you could buy everything through an auction procedure. Definitely you need a solicitor. I mean, you don't have to, but it's so complex that I wouldn't recommend anybody to do it by himself unless they are really experts, The way I normally deal with is if a client knows a place that is being repossessed.
Yeah, I was going to say, are these mostly properties that come through Sarev?
Yes. Sarev, or people who never paid and the bank, or somebody who's not paying. And then you take it through the auction procedure. And actually, we have some of the testimonials we have in our website is one client of ours that he went through a difficult inheritance and then he started suing the beneficiaries because he paid the money, and then we took the property for auction, and then he just bid for that and got the apartment back. It's a lovely story. So you can do that for individuals as well, not only for banks.
Wow,
right?
Interesting. Yeah,
it's like typical case inheritance, and nobody is happy with the other, and then you want to just split up the property and sell it. In Spain, the civil code says that any joint owner is allowed to walk out and sell the property whenever they want. Well, so it's a very dangerous thing as well, because you buy properties with joint people. If one wants to sell and you don't want to sell, he's got the right to take it to the auction procedure.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
don't have to agree on it.
Yeah, you don't need to agree on it.
Wow.
So even though it will take time, it will cost you money, etc., etc. And normally this happens with the inheritance. One wants to keep it, the other one. That's why in the wills I put a clause. They give us instructions straight away to sell the property if one of the people doesn't want it. But that's a different story about the wills. That's protecting beneficiaries.
Sure.
But going back to the auction thing, you've got two ways. You could go into Portal de Subastas, which is BOE, right? You even register there with your digital certificate, and then you find the properties that are going to be auctioned. And then you could go visit, go to the court, find out more information, the valuation, and then there are certain rules. You need to pay 5% of the valuation to bid. And then you start bidding, and the rules of the auction, they will tell you how much money is every bid. Okay. Right? So it could be 1,000, it could be 5,000, it could be 10,000. So they will tell you. And let's say you manage to get it, then you need to pay transfer tax. Unless you seize your right to a third party, or unless somebody pays the full amount and you get your money back. So let's say you get that property, you pay the 10%, you take it to the land registry, and then you start refurbishing the property. Or you need to take out whoever's got possession. That's a different story. Then you need to take him out through the courts as well. Yeah. But it's quite. I consider quite, if you've got the knowledge and you like this kind of business, I think it's worth doing, because it's always good value.
Yeah, well, certainly in the UK, from what I know, and that TV show, they can dress things up on TV, but there are, maybe father and son, whatever, that's their full-time business.
Job,
they've got like 6 or 7 properties that they rent out. Yeah,
there are people that only do that because it keeps you busy, is buying, refurbishing, selling. Yeah. And good price with that. I've got a group of investors that they concentrate on that one. And that's the knowledge. And then you could put it on the market and sell it on. So, but yes, I think I did a webinar how it works, and there is an article how an auction works in Spain. But we could talk a different day, because I think probably we were running out of time, and this is long enough to explain how it works. Yeah,
there'll be little various details to go through.
But we've got the article anyway.
Yeah, I mean, one gets the idea that in certain areas maybe there's not that many of these properties around, but there are some.
You'll be surprised, Moody. Really, you'll be surprised.
Because after like 2008, when they created the bad bank and the bank repossessed a lot of places, there was a load of them then, but hadn't all been snapped up by now.
To be honest, I've seen in Heredia properties, I've seen in everywhere. Really? So whether it's a better price or a worse price is a different story. But you'll be surprised how busy that portal is. Yeah. So it's worth looking. It's worth looking, and good luck to the auction day.
Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Well, as you say, we are out of time, eating into Dougie's daytime show. So thank you, as always, for your time. Have a good day around here with the rest of your appointments. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Pellicer and Heredia are your international lawyers based on the Costa Blanca. We've been assisting expats for over a decade with laws to protect assets and look after your loved ones, and continue to do so in post-Brexit Spain. For advice on tax, wills and inheritance, immigration or real estate, call 965 480 737.